This is the continuation of Luminous by Sokka's First Fangirl on AO3. This is Chapter 18, titled Travel Plans. The next morning, Link finally asked Dorephan how Mipha's grace even worked. Although he explained she'd gifted it to him, he hadn't actually asked how to use it. Truth be told, I have no healing abilities of my own, Dorephan said. That was always my wife's strength. I'm sure our healers would be willing to give it some advice. Goodness knows there's always someone in the infirmary. Groove was taken there last night, Sidon said. He was idly playing with his goblet of water, using magic to make the water dance above the table. First in a circle, then a figure eight, then bouncing up and down. Why? Link asked. Is he okay? Sidon sighed. With a flick of his wrist, the water went back into the goblet where it belonged. Smacked his head trying to dive off Shatterback Point. The Lionel spotted him. I'm sure LaFlat is enjoying the chance to tell him off. Oh, she is, Sidon said. I checked in on them on my way here. She's still going. Link could hardly blame LaFlat for losing her temper. After all those warnings, after showing everyone a picture of a Lionel, Groove still went up there. Link reassessed his opinion. Groove wasn't just weird, he was an outright idiot. Well, he had plenty of time before he'd be meeting Dento. He could go to the infirmary straight away. He knew he was going in the right direction because he could hear LaFlat yelling, Have you completely lost your mind? You're lucky Gaddison found you when she did. Have you no self-preservation? Has your brain melted out of your head? Is that it? It was quite impressive, honestly. Link slipped into the infirmary. LaFlat was standing over Groove's sickbed, shrieking her head off. Groove sank under the water, and LaFlat swiftly pulled him back to the surface. She didn't once stop scolding him. The healers looked torn between awe and terror. One old woman laughed outright. They didn't notice Link until he hummed for attention. Oh, Your Highness, the old woman cried. The healers all bowed, and Link quickly waved for them to straighten up. Protocol or not, he just couldn't get used to it. How may we help you? The old woman asked. Are you feeling unwell? It's, about healing magic, Link said. You could have died, LaFlat screamed. What if one of the children followed you up there? You could have gotten someone else killed, too. How about we discuss this in my office? The woman suggested. Link nodded, and the old woman led him towards a door at the end of the room. When she shut the door behind them, they could still hear LaFlat, though muffled. There, that's better, the old woman said. Now then, I'm Healer Celeste, dear. You have questions about healing magic? Mipha passed her magic to me when I met her, Link explained, but I have no idea how to use it. I'm no sorcerer. Unless the Triforce counted, but Link didn't even know how to use that on purpose. So far, it just sort of happened. Celeste's eyes widened. My goodness. She sat down at her desk, staring into space. Gracious, I didn't even know that was possible. It certainly raises questions about spirits, but I'll leave that to the clergy to sort out. As for healing magic, part of it is intent, of course. You have to truly wish the patient well. I found that trying to heal someone you sincerely hate rarely ends well. A healer must be able to keep a clear head, no matter the circumstances, and I'll admit that's tricky. We see some terrible injuries, Prince Link. Amputations, malice burns, people mauled by monsters or blasted by guardians. And we cannot afford to panic. Magic reacts to emotions. If we panic, if we lose focus, our magic will lose focus too. Intent. Focus. Link noted down on the Sheikah slate. Healing magic feels soothing. It feels like stepping into a cool stream on a hot day. The tricky part is that this is Princess Mipha's magic, not naturally your own. She always told the apprentices that it helped her to think of the people she loved most, the ones she wanted to protect. Perhaps that could be a starting point for you as well. The people he loved. That was trickier. Sidon and Dorephan, of course, but almost everyone else was dead, far beyond protecting. Sidon, Dorephan, Zelda, maybe even Impa, Paya and Purah. If he didn't love them yet, he was sure he could. Besides, he did want them to be safe. Link wrote down everything Celeste said. She pulled out a diagram of Zora's body, the organs and veins all drawn in vivid blue. Well, your system is different from ours, Celeste said, but the same basics apply. Magic flows through the blood. It helps to be able to picture what you're healing. Is it a broken bone? A pierced lung? Even now, after 300 years of healing, I find it helps me to have an image in my mind, to know what the wounded area should look like, what I must make it be. Zora's bodies were definitely different from Hylian's. The bones on the illustration looked so frail and thin, and the notes said it was actually cartilage, more flexible but harder to heal. It was more advice than Link expected, and Celeste had a point. This wasn't Link's magic by birth. It was a gift. Maybe trying Mipha's method would help. Thank you, Link said. He looked at the notes he had taken and tried not to feel overwhelmed. Healing magic. A kind gift, but an unusual one for a fighter. Link wondered if he'd ever taken first aid. It was a lot to take in, but Link had a sinking feeling he'd get plenty of opportunities to figure it out. Dento's workshop was more interesting to Link. Attached to the Merit Mart was his main shop, where he displayed his finished goods. But behind that was the room where he did the forging. It was a sweltering room, full of unfinished pieces. Chest plates, helms, shin guards, bracers, swords, spears, and shields. Dento walked Link through the process, how he selected the materials, how he melted them down and shaped them. Hammering things into shape looked the most fun, and Dento laughed when he saw how closely Link watched that part. Ah, you take a turn, he said, pressing the hammer into Link's hands. But Link looked uncertainly at the unfinished sword. I might ruin it. Your Highness, I can't even begin to tell you how many disasters I've made over the years. You should see what poor Franck tried to make last week. It was meant to be a helm, and turned into a massive silver ball. Link chuckled at the idea. Dento's grin widened. Just give it a try, he said. You're clearly eager. You can't say I didn't warn you, Link said. Duly noted. Now get to work, Your Highness. Link needed no further prompting. Listening to Dento's advice, he got to work on the sword, watching it take shape. It looked crooked when he was done, but at least he hadn't broken it. Not bad for a first attempt, Dento said. Not bad at all. He held the crooked sword up to the light, examining it closely. The blade is crooked, yes, but it's not too thin or too thick. Would you like to try again? Hylia, yes, Link said. Dento laughed, and they started the whole process again. By the end, Link was a sweaty mess, and Dento was clearly getting too dry. But he'd managed to make a sword, and this one wasn't crooked or messed up. You keep that one, Dento said, clapping Link on the back. May it serve you well. Really? You're sure? You made it. It's yours. And if you need any more supplies for your journey, come see me. Link looked at the finished sword. Silver, of course, like all Zora weapons. The blade was simple, lacking the elegant shape of Dento's work, but it was his. He'd done it. He'd actually made something. Link happily took it, brimming with pride. Sidon's letter to Yona was 10 pages and counting. He'd certainly had a lot to catch her up on, and knowing his dear friend, she'd want every detail. 100 years ago, she and her parents braved a destrayed Hyrule to visit Zora's domain and pay their respects. In the years since, they'd managed sporadic visits, but they were understandably rare. Yona was due to visit before Varuta started acting up. Gracious, she'd be so annoyed to find out she'd missed everything by such a slim margin. I do not know exactly when Link will be leaving, Sidon wrote, but I know it will be soon. And that nagged at him. Link leaving. Yes, he'd have Bazz and Rivan, but could Sidon really just stand aside and not help Link? Truth be told, the idea of staying home, waiting for news, and endlessly worrying drove him mad. He didn't want to stay home and wait. He wanted to go with Link, to stay by his brother's side and ensure he was safe. Sidon wasn't a child anymore. He could help. He'd certainly proven it, hadn't he? But would his father agree to let Sidon go? What was the old saying? Better to ask forgiveness than permission. Sidon signed his letter to Yona, sealed it with the Zora royal crest, and went in search of a messenger. Plans began to form, all quickly springing to life. He'd better make sure his trident was sharp. One of the guards, Gaddison, quickly offered to take Link to Bazz and Rivan when he asked where they were. She had opalescent scales, and as they walked, she shared little stories of the big bad Bazz Brigade. Coda tells me she's already explained who we all are, Gaddison said. I kept trying to come to say hello to you, but it seemed weird to just go up to you when you don't remember me. I've gotten used to it, Link said. By now, he had plenty of experience with supposed strangers talking to him like they were old friends, because they technically were. I suppose he would have by now, Gaddison said with a wry smile. This must have all been insane, huh? Link nodded. Completely, he agreed. If anything, insane was an understatement. Well, if you want more insanity, that's right up Bazz and Rivan's alley, Gaddison laughed. I swear they haven't changed since we were kids. Bazz was always the ringleader. I suppose the group name makes that obvious. But he was hyper. I don't know where he got all that energy. Rivan was nearly as bad. They were always getting in trouble for sassing their fathers and our instructors. Now, don't get me wrong, they're both extremely hardworking, but sometimes I'm amazed they didn't get kicked out of night training with all those stupid jokes they pulled. At least I won't be bored, Link thought. When he passed through the throne room, a Zora man was imploring Dorephan to choose noble guards for Link. He hadn't stuck around, but Dorephan's angry voice had carried as he told the man off for his blatant snobbery. Of course, Dorephan put it much more eloquently than that, but the point stood. Bazz and Rivan had been chosen, and they would not be replaced. Link couldn't imagine being stuck with a bunch of nobles who kept bowing and treating him like he was fragile or so much more important than them. He'd probably end up running away from them. At least Bazz seemed friendly, and though he hadn't seen much of Rivan, he seemed all right too. They'd been friends once. Surely they wouldn't act like Link was made of glass. Gaddison led them to the training yard, where they found Bazz and Rivan sparring. Both of them used spears. Their movements were quick, fluid. Every movement brought water to mind, currents and waves. For a fight, it was very elegant. Bazz won, but it was close. Rivan nearly had him cornered, but Bazz managed to knock him to the side. Before Rivan could regain his balance, Bazz had him on the ground, the tip of the spear at Rivan's neck. Rivan gave a good-natured groan of complaint, half laughing, and accepted Bazz's hand up. Gentlemen, Gaddison called, smirking, Prince Link is here to see you. Oh, hello, Link, Rivan said. Hello, Your Highness. Just Link, Link said quickly. Please. Rivan nodded. He looked a little relieved. Maybe he'd been worried about how Link would act, too. So, we need to plan where to go next, Link said, looking between the two knights. Can we go back to my room? Of course, Bazz said. Whatever is most convenient. Link thanked Gaddison for escorting him, and Gaddison challenged Bazz to a spar that evening. With that, the trio returned to Link's room. Dorephan was still holding court in the throne room. Link heard a soldier report that the moblin on Ludo's crossing had left and a monster camp had been abandoned. Looks like Sidon's hunch was right, Link thought, pausing to wave to Dorephan. Ganon's hold on the area has weakened. Bazz and Rivan obviously heard the report too. They both looked relieved. Once they were in Link's room, Link sat on the end of the bed. Bazz took a seat by the window, and Rivan sat at one of the vanities. So, this might sound silly, but do either of you have paragliders? Afraid not, Bazz said. Okay. Link unhooked the Sheikah slate from his belt and opened his makeshift diary. In that case, we should stop at Hateno and meet with Purah. She might know how to make you both one. Trust me, you'll need them. They look like fun, Rivan said with a smile. Link smirked. They are. Plans. First stop, Hateno. Ask Purah about paragliders. If she doesn't know, go to Impa. Oh, that reminded him. After that, I need to stop at Kakariko, he said, or Impa will ground me. She'll what? Bazz asked, baffled. Ground me, Link said. Trust me, she will. Rivan chuckled. Bazz continued to look confused. Visit Impa, or she'll ground me, Link wrote. She might ground Bazz and Rivan too. I wouldn't put it past her. I need to go to Hateno first anyway, he murmured, mostly to himself. I have to pay Bolson. Pay who? Bazz asked. Bolson, construction guy. I'm buying a house. Rivan began to hum the Bolson construction song. Link was surprised he knew it. Bazz looked more stunned than ever. A house? It's not your family's old house, is it? He asked. No idea, Link admitted. His gut said yes, but how could he really be sure? Guess we'll see, Bazz said. We all had a few sleepovers there. I'm sure Rivan and I will recognize it. Link couldn't hold back a smile. He liked that idea. They could say for sure if he was just being weirdly attached to an old house or if it was actually his. He had to admit the idea of a bunch of tiny Zora kids crowding inside almost sounded very cute. After Hateno and Kakariko, I'm thinking of going after Vabridania, Link said. But I don't know much about the other regions or what gear I'll need, so... He waved to Bazz and Rivan. The floor is yours. Any advice is appreciated. All your gear should still be in your wardrobe, thank goodness, Rivan said. But we'll need elixirs as well. For Death Mountain, you'll need your Flamebreaker armor. It's a specialty for Hylian explorers. Unfortunately, I've never seen any that fit a Zora, but perhaps we could buy helmets for ourselves up there. But before we reach Goron City, we can make do with fireproof elixirs. They're easy enough to make and can last a long time, Bazz said. They taste disgusting, though. Link went to his wardrobe and began to root through the clothes. With a huff, he grabbed armfuls and tossed them on the bed. Rivan let out a startled laugh, but Bazz only shook his head with a grin, entirely unsurprised. Without a word, Bazz joined Link and began to sort through the piles. After a moment, still chuckling, Rivan joined them. Ah, here's the Flamebreaker gear, Rivan cried, holding up a bulky shirt that Link could only call industrial. It had a high neck and gloves were attached to the arms. The whole thing was incredibly thick. It looked like it would limit flexibility somewhat. It was all in shades of brown, red, and yellow. In his other hand dangled matching trousers. The steel-toed boots were not separate, but, again, were attached to the clothing. Guess this is the helmet, Link said, holding up a helmet made of the same material. It would entirely cover his head. There was a spiky silver bit at the top, reminding him, oddly enough, of hair. Overall, it was a bit of an odd design, and Link worried about the helmet possibly limiting his vision, but it was a necessity. Okay, so that's for Death Mountain, Link said, looking over the piles of clothes thoughtfully. With a few taps, the Sheikah Slate absorbed the Flamebaker gear. What about for Rito Village? We'll need to go through Hebra for that, Rivan said. Bazz and I have some gear for the cold, but I'd still recommend bringing elixirs. It never hurts to be prepared. You'll need your snow quill clothes, Bazz added. It wasn't hard to find them. They were thick, soft, and warm to the touch. In one of the jewelry boxes, they even found the headset to go with it. A moon-shaped golden clasp studded with tiny rubies. For heat, Bazz said. And soft feathers attached to a hair tie. There were a pair of thick gloves with equally tiny rubies on the knuckle, and sturdy black boots clearly made for trekking through snow and ice. The pale gray trousers had beautiful teal embroidery. The tunic had multiple layers, and the violet-colored jacket was lined with fur, embroidered with the Zora crest on the shoulders. And the last divine beast in the Gerudo Desert, Bazz hummed to himself as he sorted through a pile. As I recall, Lady Urbosa gifted you some custom-made clothing. Ah, here we are. Well, some of them anyway. He held up a pair of rich red trousers, billowing and silky, patterned with bright gold swirls. They bunched at the ankles. For you, little Vo. Urbosa's voice was warm, kind. I can hardly allow you to melt in my lands. Her smirk softened into a genuine smile. Happy birthday. Link blinked the image away, dazed. Was that real? A memory? Had Urbosa really gone to all that trouble for her birthday gift? For him? They're meant to help with airflow, Bazz said. I don't understand in the least. Clothes are so strange, Rivan said. They're cute, Link said, taking them. There were sapphires studded along the waistline. So, if rubies are for heat, I take it sapphires are for cold? Exactly, Riven said. Link put the trousers, as well as the snow quill gear, in the Sheikah slate and looked for the rest. It didn't take long to find the rest of the Gerudo clothes. A long gold coat, made of similar, airy material. Even the embroidery was gold. Darker gold and pale gold, all blending together to create a stunning, shimmering effect. There was a ruby red, thin, sleeveless shirt to go underneath. It showed a bit more chest than Link would have preferred. His scars would be obvious. Still, it was gorgeous. And what else? A vivid purple waist wrap, patterned with thin swirls of red, gold, and green. The boots had toes that curled, with minuscule sapphires on the boot buckles. Link found a thick gold and sapphire headband and matching hoop earrings. After a moment's consideration, he grabbed the sapphire and silver circlet and ruby circlet and put them in the slate's inventory too. Maybe Bazz and Rivan could use them. Oh, don't forget the diamond circlet, Bazz said, pressing it into his hands. All 4 great fairies blessed it. It's probably the most thoroughly enchanted item you own. When Link held it, he could feel it. A warmth, a pulse, almost a hum. It felt safe. That was the only way he could think to phrase it. The very circlet just felt safe. Topazes for electricity, Riven said, pointing out a pair of earrings, and amber for strength. Oh, please don't get struck by lightning again, Bazz groaned. I did what? Link demanded. In your defense, Riven said. You didn't realize the Lionel had a metal shield, and a storm had started. So, really, it was the Lionel's fault you got struck. And the Lionel got hit too. For a moment, all Link could do was stare at them in shock and wait for them to laugh and shout, "Got you!" They didn't laugh. They were dead serious. How did I not die? Link asked. Bazz gave him a very tired look. I frequently ask myself that question, old friend, he said. Bring the topazes, for the sake of my blood pressure. Fair enough. Link added them to the slate and pulled up his sword of diary again. Plans. First stop, Hateno. Ask Purah about paragliders. If she doesn't know, go to Impa. Pay Bolson for the house. Visit Impa or she'll ground me. She might ground Bazz and Rivan too. I wouldn't put it past her. Head to Va Rudania. Need to make fireproof elixirs for Bazz and Rivan. Look out for Yiga. Keep eyes peeled for any locations in Zelda's pictures. See if they can jog any memories. After Rudania, head to Va Meadow. Be prepared for cold. Keep checking in with Impa for the love of Hylia. Check in with Dorfan. Visit Mifa. Va Nuboris, again. Be prepared for extreme heat. Better research the desert before we head there. We need clues about the Master Sword. We'll need tents, Bazz said. I can handle that. 2 tents should suffice. 2, Link repeated. There's 3 of us. Our job is to guard you, Link. One of us will share with you. Link used to be Zelda's knight. He highly doubted they slept in the same tent. Somehow, he just couldn't imagine Rome allowing it. Then again, he also felt like they had. Link gave Bazz an unimpressed stare. Bazz didn't so much as twitch. No arguments, he said firmly. Link's scowl deepened. Bazz didn't waver. I feel like it just got colder in here, Rivan mumbled. We'll need food too, Link said, still glaring at Bazz, who still didn't back down. And rupees. Easy enough, Rivan said. Link looked at his notes. Huffing, he asked, Do either of you know where the Master Sword is? The 2 Zora exchanged uneasy glances. No, Bazz admitted with a sigh. There's rumors, of course, Rivan said. People say it's hidden somewhere safe. Somewhere only those who are pure of heart and soul can go. Somewhere only you could reach it. Somewhere only I can reach it, Link thought, eyebrows furrowed. Where could that be? Somewhere only those who are pure of heart and soul can go. Sounds enchanted. But where? Where would be enchanted? Where would be safe? Was pure of heart and soul a genuine requirement, or was it simply to make an intriguing fairy tale? Find Fee, Link wrote. Find her and bring her home. He'd need to keep an ear out for these rumors. So, tents, money, food, weapons, elixirs. Rivan ticked them off on his fingers. You have your gear in your slate, and Bazz and I can simply grab ours from home. We can make or buy elixirs here and on the road. I suppose all that's left is, when do you want to leave? Now, let's go. I need to fix this. I need to fix everything. I need to avenge Mifa. I need to save Zelda. I need to fix what I broke. But he couldn't rush off. 2 days, he settled on, biting his lip. We'll take 2 days, and then we'll head out. 2 days to say goodbye to Sidon and Dorfan. 2 days to make absolutely sure they had everything they needed. 2 days to research more healing magic. And then, goddesses help him, it was time to save Hyrule. You can do this, darling, Zelda whispered faintly, quickly. I know you can. Before he could answer, she was gone again. Link was sure he'd heard something bellowing, and it made his skin crawl. Ah, one more wrinkle, Bazz said with a wince. What? Link asked, instantly on guard. Well, unless the law has changed in the last 100 years, Bazz cleared his throat uncomfortably. Only women are permitted entry to the Gerudo capital. Link could surely be forgiven for letting out such a long and annoyed groan. One more wrinkle indeed. Maybe they wouldn't need to enter the capital. Maybe they could go right to Naboris. Link wouldn't hold his breath. He opened the slate again. Be prepared for breaking and entering, or pray a guard believes we can really help, he wrote. Because really, with his luck, entering the capital would be completely unavoidable. Joy, Link thought with a sigh. Unknown to them, Sidon was planning too. He gathered elixirs, a spare shield, his trident and spear, and a pack full of rupees. He hid them all under his bed, the rupees and elixirs in his rarely used traveling pack, and he waited. When Link left, whether he knew it or not, Sidon would be joining him. Thanks so much to anybody who listens to this. As always, there's a link in the description for the original fic over on AO3. If you like this, leave kudos and comments for the original author over there. I'm sure it would be appreciated. I will be back with chapter 19 whenever I get that finished.